Welcome to Click. I'm Spencer Kelly. If you've been hacked... Yeah, okay, thank you. You can go now. Sorry, just my personal hacker. If you've been hacked, it generally means that someone uninvited is watching your computer's every move. But there is another side to hacking, where companies actually invite people to test their defences. It's called penetration testing, and London to take a closer look at the people being paid to take a closer look.
Hacking. Often illustrated by anonymous, lingering typing shots like these, scaremongering stories abound of just how easy it is to tap into your precious information. Hacking doesn't necessarily just mean the bad guys, though. Other hackers try to defend our data, bringing balance to the force. So, what actually happens during the battle beneath the web's tranquil surface? I've come to Stockholm in Sweden to meet a company that employs people who hack for a living. Wow, this is a grand old building. Certainly not the place I would expect to find lots of gadgets. Now this is what I imagined an ethical hacking company's HQ would look like. Welcome to the Security Operations Centre. With a setup worthy of a Hollywood action movie, this company looks out for over 70 clients, monitoring their websites for potential attacks. Each screen shows different data, from attack rates in the last day or so to a visualised world map where each circle represents the region of a potential attack. Operators handle around 1,700 alerts daily, and attempted invasions can come from anyone.
We have like random kids on the internet. They're not usually very skilled, but they will find like the most obvious vulnerabilities in your externally exposed stuff. Of course, there are those that are no longer kids and will have sort of slightly higher tolerance. That's when you hacktivists, they have some sort of agenda. They might dislike your company, or they will probably put in some more effort to try and make you look bad or try and steal your data. And then, of course, we have the category of competitors wanting to steal your data.
With all these threats, it's tempting to think that ethical hacking companies only monitor and defend sites. But there's another service they provide. Organisations ask ethical hackers or penetration testers to have a go at stealing their data.
A lot of companies get sort of compromised from within. You know, you have rogue traders in the banks. They start trading for and sort of fake the authorization from their bosses. Those kind of scenarios are pretty hard to mitigate against, because it's usually, it doesn't need more than a faked email, and then you have the clearance to that trade you shouldn't be able to do.
Working out how attackers might breach a system means penetration testers, or pen testers, need to think like the malicious hackers they try to stop. Hello. Consequently, they know the tricks of the trade. I asked Björn to show me.
So I found a web vulnerability on this site that I can use to inject code into the site, so I can add a malicious applet to the site that you can view later on.
Don't worry, this site's been specially built for the demo. Björn enters some innocent text on an online forum, but tags some not-so-innocent code onto the end. This attack exploits a vulnerability in the site, which means it will treat that extra text as code and run that code through my unupdated browser. When his terminal tells him I'm there, he can look through my files, turn on the microphone, or even activate the webcam. In short, he can do anything remotely that I can do from my keyboard. You can combat this sort of attack by making sure you're using your browser and keep your Java plugin updated. And of course, running up-to-date antivirus software. Free ones include AVG for PCs and iAntivirus for Mac. Now, you're unlikely to give your PIN number out to just anyone in real life or on the web, but malicious hackers use something called social engineering to extract our data this way. Pen testers also use this technique to discover if the company they're investigating is vulnerable to it.
I need some help. I'm trying to log into our webmail application and I can't seem to get this to work.
Sounds pretty believable, doesn't he? It works by relying on a very human trait to want to help someone in need. And very often, this persuasive approach is used in conjunction with technology to create an almost irresistible urge to click. You'll probably have received something like this before, an email designed to get you to click on a link. And if you do, it could compromise your computer's security. It's called a phishing email. To be honest, you'll have your suspicions about clicking this one. But here at Trustwave, a central London pen testing company, Michele showed me a much subtler phishing technique which works even if you have a fully patched computer.
I'm using a software called BEEF, Browser Exploitation Framework. We can trick the victim to actually enter the credentials, for example, for a very famous social networking website, and just configuring the correct module.
Essentially, it's the program that does the social engineering. Fake login pages fool the user into entering their details. Those go straight to the hacker's desktop. But before unplugging everything, you can take some action. If you're not sure about a short link, a URL lengthener like longurl.com can tell you where it's headed by expanding the address for you. Plus, think about having one password for social sites and another for email or sites which access sensitive data, like bank details. Most people in the pen testing industry are keen to point out that attempting and/or achieving systems access without permission is generally against the law. But assuming consent has been given, what happens if, and more likely when, pen testers breach companies' defences?
There's been some very surprised people at the other end of the phone, certainly. You know, when you are doing a pen test over the internet, there's sometimes an expectation that you'll only really get kind of surface deep. Quite often it's the case, you know, there might be a web server at the perimeter. We'll compromise that as part of the process. We'll kind of punch a hole further down into deeper into the corporate network by chaining different kind of vulnerabilities and exploits together, and eventually we'll find ourselves with literally the keys to the kingdom.
So, can a company ever guarantee the security of our data if we can access it in the outside world? Balancing the need to deny impersonators with the genuine user's need for access is where the battle continues.
LJ Rich on the ins and outs of getting in. And of course, the main message in all of this is if you're not entirely sure about what you're clicking on, don't click on it. Good. Well, that's cybercrime sorted then. Next up, it's this week's tech news.